This tutorial is about measuring. It's also called sighting. The kind of measuring we're doing in drawing is different from measuring with a ruler. What we're really doing here is we're measuring one object against another. In this case, I've chosen a sphere as my unit of measurement. So you can see that the sphere has a particular height and a particular width. In this case, a sphere is the same height and width. So this is basically the measurement of my sphere. Spheres are great because they are the same height and width, which makes them easy to use for measuring. But you can use any object. It's simpler objects are better because there's less complexity to them. Now we're going to take a look at the object we're going to compare the sphere to. It's just a simple wine bottle. What we want to know is how many spheres high is the bottle and how many spheres wide is the bottle. So we'll start with the height. Here's 3 spheres stacked up on each other. And we can see that the bottle is just a tiny bit more than 2.5 spheres high. So that's our height. We can take our sphere and find that height. Now let's take a look at the width. The bottle is about 3/4, maybe a little more than 3/4 of a sphere wide. Now here's the box that would be created for that bottle. See, it fits almost perfectly into it. And it mimics the same measurements we just took, which is about 3/4 of a sphere wide and about 2 and a little more than 1/2 spheres high. It's not an exact measurement, but it really is close. So you can see the nice negative space in here. This is exactly how the bottle fits in, and you can see a lot about the shape of the bottle while it sits in this box, and you can see the negative space. Let's look at another object. We're going to do about 4 objects, I think, 4 or 5 objects here. This is a different kind of bottle. It's about the same height, but it's a different shape and a different width. So again, we'll start with the height of the bottle. It's also just a little over 2.5 spheres high. The width on this one, however, is a lot less. It's about 1/2 a sphere wide. So the measurements of this particular object, oops, went a little too far there. It's a little crooked. I apologize for that. I couldn't get it straightened out. You can see the nice negative space here is very different from the negative space on the other bottle. It's more angular. It's not quite as smooth of a curve, and it's a lot narrower. Here's another object. It's like a jug. So again, it's a bottle, and it is pretty much symmetrical from side to side. If you don't take this part into consideration, this is like an add-on. The basic shape of the bottle is symmetrical. They all are. Let's take a look at the height of this jug. So this jug is not as tall as our other bottles. It's about 2.25 balls high, or spheres high. But in terms of width, it's wider than our other bottles by a fair amount. It's about a sphere and maybe 1/8 of a sphere here. It's just a little sliver of a sphere, but it makes a difference. So now I know the width and the height of the bottle compared to the spheres. I could make a box for the jug. Again, notice the negative space is quite different. Here we have this extra piece. What I recommend you do when you're drawing something like this is don't draw this part to start with. Just draw the bottle as if it was a perfectly symmetrical bottle, which it is, and then add this on after you've got the structure of the bottle all set. You have one more bottle to look at. This is a familiar shape, a Coke bottle. Now, one thing about this bottle is it's not straight-sided like the other bottles. The other bottles have straight sides and then they curve in. This one curves twice. It curves here, curves out, and curves back in here. So here's the height. It's not nearly as tall as the other bottles. It's only 1 3/4 spheres high. And it's just generally a lot smaller than the other bottles. But notice that I'm not measuring from the bottom. I want to measure from the widest point. Now it's probably about the same as the bottom here, but I've moved this sphere up to see the widest part of the bottle. So it's about a half a sphere wide. And here's the box that it would fit in. Again, you can see the negative space here, and then you see a little bit here also. So this kind of lays out the 4 bottles that you're going to be working with. And in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you how to use the tracing paper to create these shapes. And then after that, how to arrange the shapes on a piece of paper so that they form a nice composition. I have a special picture for that, and I'll be showing that to you.